Hello. I think you should see the desktop and you should hear me by now. Does everything seem okay? Me, I don't have
Yeah,
the chat window. Oh, can you hear me? Is it?
yeah, we can hear you and see you. Okay.
Okay, great. Thanks. Let me pull up Windows. Okay. Let me refresh this screen. There. Okay. There's the right date. Okay. Excuse me. Okay. Main thing today is the day with the midterm exam. Okay. And the midterm exam will be available on Brightspace right after class. Okay, so it's not it's you'll see it on up there when class is over with, and you'll download the exam, and it needs to be back up there at 11 o'clock this evening. So you have all day to do it. Okay, so if you want, you can do it right after class. If you want, you can arrange your time to do it a little bit later in the day. Right? So you essentially have all day to do it. Okay, so whatever works best for you, and the key thing is what you'll I don't know if I can show you. I didn't have time to log into Brightspace before. No, that's the wrong. Let me try. Let me show you what it looks like. But I have to log into Brightspace. I have to get my cell phone. Okay, finally. Oops, I'm in the wrong course. Took me to the wrong semester. Okay, so I have to switch to the current semester. Ah, here we go. No, is that the okay. Okay, so here under assignments, I'm not sure if I actually I don't know how Brightspace looks like compared to a professor and compared to a student. So I'm showing you, I think, what you'll see when you look on Brightspace. So, I mean, right now, maybe you're seeing it differently. I don't even know what it really looks like for a student, but the exam is under assignments, and oh, see, uh, I need to click on. I don't even know what I click. Let's see. I mean, I'm not sure what you'll see, but it looks something like this. You know, there's a PDF of the exam and there's a text version of the exam. You download this one, and if you when you download it, the first page is instructions. Okay, okay. You're going to download this exam, and that's what it looks like a regular exam. Like there's a problem that you can either print the exam out and write your answers on the exam, and then use like a scanner to scan it back in. And these are a couple scanner apps that your phone you can put on your phone. So, for example, uh, That's a scanner app you can download for your phone. If you don't have something on your phone, they'll take pictures and turn the pictures into a PDF document. This is one. It works pretty well. This is a program that you can use the camera in your phone to take pictures of the pages of a document and turn them into a PDF document. So, and then there's another one that does something similar here. This one's from Microsoft. Okay, and they work pretty well. So you can print this document, write your answers on it, then scan it back in. That's one possibility. Okay. Um, if you if you want, you can write your exam using Word or Google Docs. You can take like a problem from this exam and copy it and paste it into Word and then solve it. But if you do that, it doesn't work very well to copy and paste from a PDF file. This doesn't work very well. So another thing that's up here on Brightspace is a text version of the exam. Okay, what that does is you have just raw text that you can open in Notepad. And then you can copy and paste real easily. Okay, see now you can copy that, or you can copy all of this into a Word document, and then you can write your answers in the Word document, and then you could save the Word document as a PDF, and then when you're done, you'll upload it to Brightspace. Okay, so I think there's a couple ways to do it. Print it out, write your answers on the printout. Oh, and if you can't even print it out, okay, you can always write your answers on a blank sheet of you can write each answer on a blank sheet of paper, and you can then scan in your blank sheets of paper. Okay. So another possibility is that you can just read this exam, write your answers on blank sheets of paper, then scan in your blank sheets of paper into your cell phone, and then upload a PDF document to Brightspace. Okay. All right. So either print this out, write your answers on the printout, read this exam, write your answers on sheets of paper, then scan them in, or use the text version of the exam to copy and paste the problems into a Word problem or a Google Doc. There's a couple problems where you have to draw a picture. You can draw the picture freehand. If you let's see. Can you yeah, anything that creates a PDF document will work. So like someone asked, can you use LibreOffice? Yes. Yeah, Office, Word, anything that'll save files as a PDF, will be fine. Okay. Oh, and there's another thing. Some people, if you can't get like these to work very well, and you end up with a bunch of single page PDF documents, here's a real convenient website. If you drag PDF documents into this box, then if you save them, it'll save them as one PDF file. This thing works. I've had good luck using this thing. It'll combine multiple PDF files into a single PDF file. So if you take a picture, and you end up with like a bunch of PDFs, it won't combine pictures. You do need something that'll convert your pictures into PDF. But if you have a bunch of PDFs, it will combine them into one PDF for you. Okay, so some students in the past have needed to use this to combine one-page PDFs into a single PDF. Don't if Brightspace doesn't work well with things that aren't PDF, so you really should upload a PDF to Brightspace. When you're done, you'll go back to this page on Brightspace and you'll upload your document. Just like you submit your homework assignments. So you'll download it from Brightspace and then you'll upload it to Brightspace. The text version of the exam, you only need it if you want to do your solving in like Word or some other program like that. So if you want to copy and paste problems into Word, like I say, it doesn't work very well to copy and paste PDF from a PDF. Like I don't know if I highlight that and I copy it, and then I go over here and I make a text file and paste it. Notice it. See what happens. See how you lose the indenting, and worse can happen than that. Yeah, PDFs have never been very good about copying and pasting. So here, the worst that happened was I lost the indenting. Sometimes text gets mangled. Okay, so it's not really safe to copy and paste text out of a PDF document, which is why I gave you the plain text version of it. So that's real safe to copy and paste from. Okay, so but you only need the text version if you're going to if you want to like do your work in a Word document or a Google Doc. Like if you want to, if you could take the text version and load it into Google Doc. Now you might be able to load the PDF into Google Doc too. I actually don't know. I don't know if Google Doc is smart about opening a PDF document and then you can edit it that way. So if for example Google Doc doesn't like opening or if it opens a PDF but it tends to mangle things, opening the text document, nothing will get mangled. Then you can make space for your answers. You can write in answers in between the problems. Okay, right? So I think whichever way you want to work will work fine. You know, printing out the PDF, writing your answers. Probably the best way is if you can use Word. Yeah, if you can use Word or something like Word, that's probably the best way to do things. Okay, like opening uh, again, even Word. I don't think Word can open a PDF document, but you can take this, see the text document. I mean, I think you can cheat. I think you can just uh, no, I don't think you can do. You. I don't think you can change the name to. Let me see if it works. I don't know if it works. Wait, no, it didn't like doing that. Okay, so Word, but on the other hand, so Word didn't like converting it into a Word document. See, what will be another? But you probably could just do. You just open a blank Word document, open this, Control A, Control C, and just paste it into the Word document. Okay, see, now it's a Word document and you can edit. Okay, and see the formatting is there. Okay, things are pretty, okay. Yeah, it looks, no, it didn't format it. No, some of the words are met. I actually don't like Word. I don't like working in Word. Word did mess up the formatting. Even though this was a plain text file, Word didn't do a particularly good job. Okay, so you may have to clean things up a little bit. Okay, so like, but part of taking a class like this is learning to work with computer tools. So a little bit of this is you working with a little bit working with computer tools. Okay, so find whatever way works best for you. If as long as you get your answers back up on Brightspace, I'll probably be able to work with it. As long as your answers are in a PDF document in Brightspace, I should be able to work with it. And if you have questions, I'll be available during the day. You can send me emails and you can ask questions. So last year, no, I don't think I had anybody who had trouble finding a way to work with these with the documents. Everyone did it. Every one of these suggested ways, somebody used it. Some people some people printed it out, wrote their answers on the printout. Some people wrote their answers on blank pieces of paper, then scanned in the blank pieces of paper. Some people converted it to a Word document. Actually not sure exactly what's the best way to convert it to a Word document, but some people did it that way. And some people use Google Docs then convert things to a PDF. Okay, so any one of those should work. Okay, sorry. And when you're done, you'll use this assignment tool to upload you should I can't show you that because I have no way to upload because I'm this is the professor's side of Brightspace. So I'm not, how does it look a lot different than what you see, or does it look a little bit different than what you see?
It looks the same, I think, except we can't click on it yet until the time comes up.
Oh yeah, yeah. You can't see this till the time comes up. Yeah, yeah. Now, like if when I click on it, you get I see a list of your students. Yeah. When I click on it, I don't see the assignment. I see who submitted it. But when you click on it, you should just see the assignment. Anyway, you won't see it until the end of class. You won't see it until the class is over with. Okay. And then you can ask questions if there's anything, if anything seems funny, ask a question. Okay, so that's the exam. I think there's 9 or 10 problems. Okay, now let's see. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna log. Anybody got a question so far? What we talked about? Has anybody got a question? What we talked about so far? Oh yeah, you said you can view it as a student. Oh, but yeah, actually, since the exam's not available, well, I probably, if I view it as a student, let's see, I forget how to do that. Okay, view. Yeah, so I can't show you anything. Yeah, you're right. That was a good point. I could switch to this what's called the student view, but the exam's not available in the student view yet. So it's acting like a student. So this is what you see. I think you don't see a link to it yet. Okay, so that way so unfortunately I can't switch to the student view quite like that yet. Okay, but so that'll be available after class. Okay. Anybody had a question about the exam? Nope. Okay, I'm gonna log out of Brightspace. Okay, now what I want to do today is actually see if anybody has questions about the review problems. First, does anybody have questions about any of these review problems? Any review problem that you want to try working on?
Yes, I had a question.
Sure. Uh-huh.
Second, I'm pulling up.
Whoop, you're breaking up.
I'm pulling up a problem right now. Problem number 5.
5? Okay. Okay. Now, a lot of these problems, you can work with them on Java Visualizer. Okay, what should be the data type for the variable X and the data type for the variable Y? So here's what they mean. Let me take this code and copy it. And I can go over to the Java Visualizer. Okay. Okay, now I can put my code in the Java Visualizer that I copied and pasted. Now, right now it won't compile because these variables haven't been declared. See, so it's not going to compile because what's X? See, symbol X hasn't been declared. So the question is asking you, how should you declare X? What you need to put a type in front of here. So for example, you need to say like, oh, X is an int. Well, maybe that's right. And you need a type for Y too. Okay, maybe it's an int. So now you can, okay, now if you try that, it's going to say, oh, that wasn't the right answer. Okay, that wasn't right. Now let's think about it. Okay, this is a string. Okay, what happens when you add a number to a string? What does Java do when you take a string and you add a number to it? What do we even call this? We don't even call this add. What do we call it?
Concatenate or something, right?
Yeah, concatenate. That's the fancy word. It means what? What does it mean if one of these guys is a string? What is if like if I say cat plus dog, what does Java do with that?
Next to each other?
It makes it one long string cat dog. Okay, right. Now, so what's this going to do? This is going to take that string, concatenate it, but with what?
2.
The 2, but it has to first make 2 into the string 2. Now, what happens if you take 2 and put it next to 2? What do you get?
22.
22. But 22 is what type of variable now? X is what type of variable?
String.
String. So let's check it. Let's see if that worked. I'm going to delete that part. Visualize it. Okay, now it did, X was okay, but it still doesn't like Y. Okay, we haven't answered, we haven't said what Y is. Okay, so let's think about Y now. Now, well, what plus is that? Is that the plus of numbers or is that the plus of strings? Okay, here's a question. Is this plus of numbers or plus of strings? Is it the plus of numbers or is it the plus of strings? Well, this is a number, but what is X?
A string.
String. So that should make this now you can't make a string into a number, but you can make a number into a string. Okay. You can't make a string into a number, but you can make a number into a string. So what would make this, what would Java do here?
Would it make it 222?
Yeah, because this is the string 22. No, actually, it makes it the string 222. Yeah, so the number, one of the key ideas is the number 222 and the string 222 aren't the same thing. So yeah, this is the string 22. This is this was the string 2, and it was concatenated with, well, this was changed into the string 2. So the string 2 next to the string 2 gives us the string 22. Okay, that's what that turns into. X is 22. X is 22. Oh, but that means X is a string here. So we're doing the same thing. String 22 combined with the string 2 is going to give us the string 222. That means Y is what type of variable?
String.
String. Now check it. And Java's happy. Okay, and we go forward, we see string, string. Okay, so notice you can solve the problems with the Java visualizer. It doesn't solve them for you, but it sure helps you know when you have the right answer. Okay, or it gives you a strong hint that you're on the right track. Okay, and this is how you should think of a lot of these problems. The Java visualizer will actually literally solve a few of them, but more often than not, the Java visualizer helps you solve them by taking the code and putting in the Java visualizer and working with the Java visualizer to see what happens so you can explain it or you can solve the bugs that might be in it. Okay, so in this case, the Java visualizer wouldn't solve the problem, but once you have that code in the visualizer, you could then say, well, I need to figure out what goes here. That's what the problem's asking for you. What type of variable X is? What is the type of the variable? And if I put int there, because I see a number here, I say, oh, I'm adding. So, I have to edit. I have to go back to the edit. Okay. If I just say, oh, I'm adding 2, so that's an int, and Java won't like that. See, the Java visualizer will tell you that's not right. Okay. See, Java visualizer said that's not right. So you have to fix that. Yeah, and then you could reason, you should reason, figure out that that's a string variable. Okay. All right. Now, what about any question about that one? What about another one from the review problems? What about another review problem? Anybody got a question about some other of the review problems?
Oh, just something that showed up, like I was testing problem 9.
Okay,
If the letter or string is not there, it just returns -1, right?
I'm sorry, say again.
I was testing out letter D on problem 9.
Oh, okay. I was looking at the wrong problem. Oh, okay.
So it like returns -1 if nothing is there, right?
Oh,
Z
yeah.
is not present.
Yes, yeah. That's mentioned in the book. So say, okay, now let me go to Java Visualize. So this problem starts with that string. Okay. Then it asks, then you have to say, what do each of these do? Now, this is an example of a problem that the visualizer actually does for you. Okay. What are the values of the following expressions? Okay. Well, let's see, you did which one? Oh, S dot index of Z. Okay. So part D, that's the one you said, right? And if I
Yeah.
put that in here, Java will just literally tell me what the answer is. Well, it actually doesn't. See, if I do this, see, I didn't see the answer. I mean, I thought, okay, Java Visualizer is supposed to tell me what's going on. What did I do wrong? Why didn't Java Visualizer tell me what this thing did? So here's practice on using Java Visualizer. It will tell me the answer. This is one of the problems where the Java Visualizer will tell me the answer. But what do I got to do to get the Java Visualizer to tell me what the answer is? You have to tell me if this was a problem on the exam, you'd have to tell me by writing down what the answer is. So you think, oh, this is easy. Java Visualizer does it for me. So you type that in, you go over here, forward, forward, forward. Where's the answer? Okay, so what's the trick? How do I get Java Visualizer to show me what that answer is? Oh, print. Okay, what do I print though? That's actually not the easiest way. That's one way. But what do I print? What do I mean? What do you mean by print? Print print what variable? I'll print S. I could print S. That's the only variable I have.
We can print and say Z is not there.
Well, okay. Now, is this going to help me? I'll print the variable S. No, S is 1, 2, 3, 4. That doesn't tell me what this thing did. Okay. Now, so printing is one thing that can help me see what's going on, but I have to know what to print. Okay. So let's go back here. I still don't know what this guy gave as an answer. I don't know what this guy gave as an answer yet. Print the whole statement. Okay, like this thing here, okay, that's the thing that came out of the problem. This thing here, okay, I could put it in the print statement. That's right. I could take this thing, copy it, and put it inside the print statement. All right. Okay. There. Now I'm going to print what that thing is. Oh, -1. Okay. Okay, now I know that this thing is -1. Now here's, I think, a better way to do this. Instead of printing this thing, here's a better way. This thing gives you, okay, if you look up the index of function, you find out that it gives you the integer that tells you where this thing is in the string. So this thing gives you back an answer that's an int. So I'll call it answer. The answer is an int, and I'm going to store the answer in a variable. Then, like somebody said, but then I don't even need to print the variable. See, if I store that answer in a variable, I don't need to even print it because the Java visualizer shows me what the variables are. So I think this is the better way to do it. So S is 1, 2, 3, 4. Answer is -1. See, I didn't have to print it. Java Visualizer shows me the answer, shows me the value in the variable. So I created a variable. And I could have given it any name I wanted. I could have called that variable X. x is -1. I could have called that variable Jane. Okay. I could have called that variable, see, like here, we were working on part D. I could have called the variable part D. Part D is -1. Okay. Yeah. I could go to another one of these. I could say part C. Okay. What does part C give me? Now, the Java Visualizer will do a lot for me, but it won't do everything for me. Okay. So here's part D. If I want to put the answer in a variable, I have to know what the type is. And the visualizer won't tell me that until I have to think about what the type is. So this is going to be part C. Okay, see, okay, that was part C. I'm going to use a variable part C to hold the answer. But I got to tell the visualizer what the type of that variable is. That's very much like that problem we did a minute ago. Well, okay, let's look over here. This tells me where the letter E is, and this tells me where another letter E is, and this gives me the substring between the E's. So it gives me a string answer. It's the part of this. It's going to be from the first E, well, from the first E to the last E. See, it should give me that. From the index of the first E to the index of the last E. So it should give me something like that. But it's going to give me a string. So if I want the visualizer to show me what the answer is, I say string part C. See, part C's answer is a string. Part C is a string. Part D is an integer. Okay, now I can go here. Whoops. I forgot to put the semicolon at the end of this guy to make him a piece of Java. Okay, now the Java visualizer will tell me, okay, S is 1, 2, 3, 4. Part C is E, 2, 3. Okay, notice it didn't include the last E. When you do a substring, you go from this index up to not including this index. So it would go up to, but not include the last E. So the answer was E space TWO space THRE. It stopped at that first E. It went up to not including the last E. Okay, so the Java visualizer did the work for me, but I do have to help. I have to work with the Java visualizer. I want to see what the answer is. So I put it in a variable. Now, the other possibility is I could have taken this, which is part C, and I could have printed that out. Okay, there's the part C stuff printed out. Okay. Okay, we know that it's that, and now, but here it's printed out for us. Now, I think this is a better way to do it. For one thing, it makes you realize what type, it makes you know what the type is. And on the exam, that's the kind of thing I very well could ask you for. This thing kind of cheated for you. You didn't have to know that that was a string. It prints out the answer, and it doesn't necessarily, you didn't have to know that it was a string. Okay, so this is a little bit easier because you don't have to even know what you're printing out, but you should try to do it this way. Yeah, if you want to know what that thing is, put it in a variable, but then you should know what the type of the variable is. If you can't figure it out, print it. Yeah, that'll give you a hint. But then, like over here, like this guy, I could print him out. Whoops. Instead of putting it in a variable, I could print it out. Whoops. But the thing about printing it out is that you're cheating a little bit because you're not having to figure out what this is. Okay. Now I know that is an integer, but I didn't have to know that to print it. I know this is a string, but I didn't have to know that to print it. But you know, you can use this in steps. Here, okay, that's a pretty good hint that you're looking at an integer. Not absolutely. Notice that that still could have been the string quote -1 close quote. Yeah, that still could have been a string. You don't know when the outputs gets printed. When it like, let me just show you real quick. This is real important. You lose a little bit of information when you print things. So here's the number 1,234. No, 1,234,000 and say 000. Okay. Now let me not put the so yeah, there's the number 1,234,000. There's the string. Okay. Now visualize it. One's printing out a number, one's printing out a string, and you can't tell which one's which down here. Not that it usually matters a lot, but you know, print line didn't care if that was a number or a string, it managed to print the same thing. Okay. So when you print an answer, you might not quite realize whether you're printing an integer or a string. And sometimes that might be part of the answer. I might be asking you, what is the type of this thing? What is the type of this thing? Not just what its value is, but what its type is. So print line will give you a good hint, and you can use it to get started. But one of the nice things about putting the answer in a variable is you have to know exactly what the type is. When you put something in a variable, you have to know what the type is, and then the visualizer can show you. But notice how you can use the visualizer to help you solve these problems. Sometimes it solves the problems right off the bat. Most of the time you have to work with it, but it gives you something. It's like a calculator. It lets you work with Java to see how things are. Now, oh, and remember the thing here was, we go back to part D. Where is Z in this string? The answer is it's not in that string. So the answer is -1, because -1 is essentially off the left edge of this string. See, if I remember how this works, that's character 0, which is the letter O. Index 1 is the letter N. Index 2 is the letter E. Index 3 is that space. Index 4 is the letter T. Index 5 is the letter W. Okay. Index of gives you back this answer. 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, notice that R is number 10. But if I write 10 here, I start getting out of whack. Okay. But that R is the number 10. Okay. And then the first E is the number 11. So this R is number 10. This E is number 11. This E is number 12. Okay. If I go back here and ask, what's the index of W? Then I won't get -1. See, -1, if you want to think about it, -1 would be this place right here off the end of the string. So when Java can't find the letter, it gives you an index that would be not in the string, off the end of the string. There is no index -1, but it's a good way of saying I couldn't find the letter you were looking for. Okay, so the answer to index of Z is -1. The answer to index of W would be, see, index of W should be, what is it? That's a 5. See, 5. Index of W is 5. Okay, so the index of tells you where in the string. Now it tells you where the first one is. Okay. For example, there are lots of E's in that string. There's lots of E's. Index of tells you the first E. 2. See, that's the first E is at 2. And then there's the other one that says last index of. That would find this E over here, which was at 10, Was it 10, 11, 12? This one's at 12. It's the 13th letter, so it's number 12. That's the last E. See, 12. Now, what about the middle E? There is no function that'll give you a middle E. You can find the first one and the last one. You have index of, which really should have, it could have been called first index of, but they didn't call it that. It's just index of means first index of. Index of, so just do both of them. Index of E, last index of E, okay? So I'll do it in 2 steps. D will first hold the index of E, then it'll hold the last index of E. It'll skip over that middle E, and it'll find the first E, then find the last E. There is nothing that'll find the middle E for you. You can find it, but you have to write many lines of code. There's no, oops, there's no easy way to find the middle E's, because there could be lots of them. Okay. First, the index of the first E is 2, the index of the second E is 12. Okay. Yeah. And you could have a string with lots of E's in it. So you have to work hard to find the middle E's, because there's could be lots of them. There's only one first E, there's only one last E. So it's easy to have a function that finds the first E. It's easy to have a function that finds the last E if there is one. Oh, what happens if you ask for the last index of, oh, here's this, like the letter W is only there once. So the first index of W is 5. What's the last index of W? If
Wouldn't
this
it
is the
be 5?
5, 2, yeah. If there's only one, it's both the first and the last. Okay, if there's more than one of these letters, okay, let's check it. Yeah, see, it was both the first and the last. Okay, it was both the first and the last. Now, what about the letter? Now Z wasn't in there, so both its first and its last will be -1. If it's not in there, both its first index and its last index are -1. Okay. Yeah, so the Java visualizer lets you play around. It'll sometimes just solve a problem for you. More often than not, you can use it as with a little bit playing around. You have to read the code a little bit and understand it, but you can find out for sure what the answer is using the visualizer. Okay. Okay. Now, so is it when a question says explain, how in detail? Like problem 17. Oh, let's look at the problem. Now, that's a good question. What does it mean to explain? Usually it means to write 2 or 3 sentences. Okay. Now, sometimes it could be draw a picture. It could be write 2 or 3 sentences. It's not going to be write an essay, but it should be something that like if the answer is like a real simple example. What if I asked you to explain why this is -1? Yeah, I could say s dot index when s is this, s dot index of z is -1. Explain why. And the answer would be when a letter is not in a string, index of returns -1 to show you it's not in the string. Just say in words what the function does. So that would be one example. Like you would just say in words what you would, how, if you were asked, why did this return -1? Because z is not in the string, so it returns an index that is not a index in the string. Okay. Okay. Now let's see. You said 17.
I have a quick question before we
Yeah.
go to 17. Can you go back to the Java visualizer?
Oh, this one?
Yeah. So if you put double E for index of E and then the last index of E, would both of them just compute 2?
Double E here?
No, just single E, sorry.
This one?
Yes.
No, because that's the first E, that's the last E. So
So
this will give us different answers. First
So-
E, last E.
what would the last index yield?
12.
12. Okay.
See, first one is 2, last one is 12.
All right. Thank you.
And let's see, was there anything else that's in there twice? O. O is in there twice. There. O is in there twice. First O, 0. Last O, I don't know what that is. That is 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So see, here was 9. H is 9. So start counting from H. The H is 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Let's see, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Notice you count spaces. That's one character. So this is H is 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I should get 15 for the last one. So I get 0 for the first one, 15 for the last one. Well, let me just do, here's another thing. What if I do this? Where's the last O now?
$17th.
Yeah, because I added 2 more spaces in there. Now, notice that means you have to be able to count spaces carefully. So here I would go, okay, the H is 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay, O is at 17 now. I have to count the spaces carefully. Programmers have to pay attention to detail of everything in the world. Okay, so 0, 17. You have to count the spaces. Now, that's one of the reasons why in the exam I gave you both a PDF and a text file. Counting spaces in a PDF file is one of the things that you can't do very carefully. If there's a problem where you actually have to know the details of like how many spaces there are, which as programmers I think you should keep. You actually have to keep track of these things. You know, when programmers are writing code, they have to literally pay attention to all these little details. You know, when you take user input in forms and you're writing code that manipulates data, it really matters things like how many spaces there were between things. So you have to be able to count spaces. So that's one reason why I gave you all the problems as a text file. See how, you know, in a text file, I can just 1, 2, 3 spaces. Yeah. It matters if there's a space at the end there or not. Okay. So I can see, you know, in a PDF document, you may not see that space very clearly. Okay, you may not see it actually. If I put this in a PDF document, it can be a little bit tricky to tell if there's a space there or not before the quote. So I gave it to you as a text file. In the text file, you can stick your pointer and you can step through the strings and see what's there. Okay, all right. Now let's see. Let's go next to problem 17. That was what was it? 17, right? Okay. Explain all the possible values that the variable y can have. Okay. Well, let's see if we can do this with Java Visualizer and see what kind of thing we would get. Okay, there's my code. Now, I don't have U and V, so I've got to put them in the program myself. So, yeah, the problem says there are a U and V somewhere. You don't know what their values are. And the question is, what could W end up being? What are the possibilities for W? Okay, so there are multiple possibilities depending on what the possibilities are for U and V. Okay, so let me go up here and make up my own U and V. Int U equal and int V equal. Okay, and I'm going to need a semicolon. I haven't put a value in for them yet. Okay, now notice that here I'm asking if U is greater than 0. So I could put like a 12 here. And I'm asking if V is greater than 0. I could put a 5 here. Okay. So now I've got U greater than 0 and V greater than 0. Okay. W becomes 1 here because that increments W, because this is true. So W becomes 1. Then this is true. So W becomes 2. And I can watch that. Okay. Now I've got part of my answer. If both U and V are positive numbers, then W is 2. Okay. So if both U and V are positive, then W is 2. So that's one of the possible values. So I'm kind of, okay, but what else could I have? You know, what would make this false?
If you had a negative number.
So let me go ahead and make that negative 12. Okay. So now I'm saying if U is negative and V is positive, then, well, what am I going to get? Okay, but before asking you to visualize, what's going to happen? This one's false because I made it negative. So what about this guy?
Skip over it.
You skip over it. So W is still 0. This one's positive. So you do what?
Add 1.
Add 1 to what?
0.
0. So you get, so if U is negative and V is positive, then W is 1. Let's check it. Okay, W is 1. When the U is negative and the V is positive, W ends up being 1. Okay, but there's still another case. What would the other case be? There's still another possibility.
If both are negative.
Yeah, they're both negative. Okay, so if U and V are both negative, then W is, we'll see what happens here. So make it both negative. Okay. Well, okay, so now W is set to 0. This is negative, skip. This is negative, skip. So what does W end up being?
0.
0. Okay, check it. Okay. Now, have I left anything out?
No.
They're both positive. They're both negative. U is negative and V is positive.
But you have to do V. If V is negative, U is positive.
Yeah, because that's a possibility. What if I have U is positive and V is negative? So like in between there was another case in a way. If U is positive and V is negative, then okay, W is, okay, if U is positive and V is negative, U is positive and V is negative, okay? Well, what happens here? U is positive, so I get that one done. So I go from 0 to 1, but V is negative, so this one's false. So I end up with another version. But I still get this. I get 1 2 different ways. Okay. Check here. Okay. 1. So what are the possible values of W?
2, 1, 0.
2, 1, and 0. 2, 1, and 0. Now there's one way to get 2, 2 ways to get 1, and 1 way to get 0. There's my explanation. Okay. If both U and V are positive, then W is 2. If U is negative and V is positive, then W is 1. If U is positive and V is negative, then W is 1. If U and V are both negative, then W is 0. there's the whole explanation of what's going on. Okay. And importantly, the possible the possible values of 0, the possible values for W are 0, 1, and 2. So the possible values for W are 0, 1, and 2. And then here's the cases. If both U and V are positive, then W is 2. If U is negative and V is positive, then W is 1. If U is positive and V is negative, then W is 1. And if U and V are both negative, then W is 0. Okay, so there would be the explain. Okay, all right. So there's 3 possible values, and here's the explanation of how you get them. Okay, all right. So that would be a good way. That would be a good answer for someone like this one. Yeah, but the problems, all explain all the possible values that the variable W can have. We figured out that there were 3 possible values that came out of 4 possible cases. We have to ask what could U be, what could V be. Okay, and this is what problem solving is about in programming. In programming, the problems tend to be a little bit open-ended like this. Someone will, this is pretty typical kind of thing. What can happen here? It's 3 lines of code. What can it do? There's information that's missing, and what's missing is what are U and V. So you have to figure out what are all the things this could do, depending on what are all the possible values of U and V. Okay, so over here but we don't need to know, like U can have a million different values and V can have a million different values, but because of this, we only cared whether U was positive or negative. What really matters is positive or negative. Again, here, the only thing that really matters is positive or negative. If it's positive, it doesn't matter if it's 0, if it's 12 or 120, or if it's 1. What really matters is it positive or negative, because that's all this asks. This asks, is U positive or is it negative? This asks, is V positive or is it negative? So so I have to figure out what goes on given positive and negative values for U and positive and negative values for V. So I try all the possibilities. I only need to try one number for each possibility. Once U is positive, I know exactly what's going to happen. So I can pick my favorite positive number, let U have that, see what happens. Pick my favorite negative number and see what happens. Okay. All right. So they're not long problems, but they're asking you to think. The problems are asking for analysis. You have to analyze this. What does this do? But you don't have complete information. You don't know what U and V are. You have to fill in the possible incomplete information. So that's what we're doing here, filling in the possible incomplete information. But there turn out to be 4 ways to fill it in. Both positive, both negative, 1 positive, 1 negative. Okay. All right. And then there's similar problems down here they're like that. Okay. So in this case, that was the explanation. Okay. Right. What about another? Oh, any question about this one? Any question about the details of this one? Notice that I solved it with Visualizer helping me. I could copy and paste that into my answer sheet if I wanted. That would be, that wouldn't be a bad way to answer the problem. Say, oh, this is how I figured it out. There's the explanation. Okay. When something asks for explain, it almost always means you should write at least a sentence or two. When something says explain, you should write a sentence or two. Okay. Unless you can draw a really good picture that explains things. Usually I will accept a good picture that explains things. And some of these problems are explained by a good picture. But even then, you might want to write a sentence or two to explain why your picture explains the problem. So expect to write a couple sentences when something says explain. But here's a good example where I could have just now take this and copy and paste it into my answer. You know, or if I wanted to, I would be enough to take this and copy and paste it in my answer also. Yeah, if I copied that into my answer, that would explain that would be the answer. You know, that would get full credit. And if I copied all of this in there, that would be great too. You know, from your own point of view, if you copied all that, you'd be helping yourself remember how you got the answer. So if you did something like this and you copied and pasted all that into your exam, you'd be helping yourself remember what you did to get that answer. You could see that you were playing with values of u and v, and then seeing how this thing, what the final value of w was in the visualizer. Okay. What about another problem? Anybody got another problem?
Oh, how about number? Oh, give me 1 second. 15.
15? Oh, okay. Yeah. Draw the mirror. Now, okay, this is where, okay, now I'll do it two ways. I'll do it in the Java visualizer, and like the other day we did one like this using Paint. Okay. Now, since this is not turtle code, you can put it in the Java visualizer. Remember, the Java visualizer unfortunately doesn't know turtle code, but this code, okay, the Java visualizer can help me with this. Okay. Now, if I just visualize this, oh,
The C in uppercase should be capital, I think.
oh, no. Oh, that's a little misprint. Yeah. I think, yeah, that's two uppercase. That's the misprint there. So that was in the, yeah, that was a misprint over here in the problem over here. Okay. All right. Okay. Oh, now that's not the right picture. I'm glad, if I go to Java Visualizer and I say, oh, it's going to draw the picture for me, that's not what I want. That's the wrong picture. So if you use the Java Visualizer to solve this problem, at first you get the wrong answer. What's wrong with that answer? What's wrong with that picture that the Java Visualizer drew for me?
Doesn't show the object, right? Or
Doesn't show the what?
it doesn't show the object. I'm not sure if I have
Yeah,
it
it
right.
didn't show the objects, and what else is it not showing? Besides not showing the objects, what else is missing in this picture? Let me draw it in. Let's do it in Paint. See if I can squish all this together. What is a line of code? What's the picture for that line of code? If I was going to draw it over here, what's the picture that goes with line 5?
The variable pointing at the object, right?
Right, the variable pointing at the object. So if I draw a little box, I draw a box for the, I draw a box for the variable. It's called salutation. I can draw a box for the object. Okay. Inside, now this is a string object. And the data in it is okay, it's a string object with that data in it. And importantly, the variable points at the object. Okay. Okay. What's missing over here on the right-hand side? What's missing over here in the Java visualizer? Besides the object, what else is missing? There's the variable, but they're showing the string data inside the variable. See, that's what they're doing wrong there. They're showing the data that's part of the object as if it was inside the variable. That's not right. What's missing is the object, which should be over here under objects, and then there should be the arrow saying the variable points at the object. Does anybody remember how I fixed this?
I'm gonna take a guess. To get the object, you need a print statement.
No, that's not, it's got to do with the visualizer. The visualizer is doing the wrong thing. The visualizer is not drawing the right picture over here. Does anybody remember? We did this in class a couple times. The visualizer is drawing the wrong picture here. But I need to tell the visualizer to do things differently. The visualizer has to be told to work differently. Options, show string. See, I'm telling the visualizer to work differently. Options, show string. There's the box holding greetings. They didn't put a box around it, but there's the string object holding the data greetings, and there's the arrow in the variable pointing at the object. That's the picture we want. Okay. Okay. Now, the next line. Okay. Now, what's this next line do?
It's gonna take greetings and make it uppercase.
Yeah, but where's it going to do that?
In the salutations.
It's going to, now, salutation doesn't hold data. Salutation points at the data. So it's going to take salutation and go to the data over here. It's going to take that data and make it uppercase. And where's it going to put it?
Would it just be put into the object string?
No, unfortunately, that's what you would think would happen. That it would just put the new data in there. And we mentioned in class, that's not what string does. Okay. It puts the new data in another object. It actually creates another object which is a string object. And it's inside this object that it puts okay. All right. So that's what two uppercase does. It makes a copy of it follows that arrow to this object, makes a copy of that object, and then makes all the letters in the copy uppercase. All right. But then what happens next?
Does you mean next line or on the same line?
Well, no, what does Java do next? After it does this, it follows the arrow to that object, makes a copy of that object, and puts all capitals in it.
Oh, does it point from the same place to the very
No,
object?
I didn't tell it to. See, I didn't make it.
Oh, okay.
I'm not saying change salutation. Salutation's not going to change.
So it's like temporary, right?
This thing's temporary. And what happens to something that's temporary when you're done with it?
Goes away.
Goes away. Okay, it actually then gets deleted. Now watch what over here. If I do a step here, there's nothing over here, because what happened was the box that was created was immediately deleted from memory. So if I go over here, what actually happens is this thing now gets immediately erased because it didn't give it a variable name. If you don't give it a name, it gets erased right after it's created. We even gave that a name in class. Does anybody remember what we called that? The thing we created didn't have a name, didn't have an arrow pointing at it. So it's called a garbage object, and it gets garbage collected. So it doesn't show up in our picture. Just like, see, it didn't show up in the picture here. Okay. Now look at the next line. Okay. Okay. What does this line do? It does something real similar. Takes the salutation arrow, follows it to its string. Okay. And then it says create the substring. But it does not chop that string. It creates a copy. Okay. So it creates another string object that's a copy of this one. Okay. So in here, if you in here would be the but then it does the substring step. Okay. It wants the substring starting at 0 up to but not including character 5. So there's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I delete INGS. They're not part of the substring. Okay. All right. That's what it puts in the, okay. Then it creates that guy. It creates a string variable called S2. And this string variable now does point at that object. Okay. So we created a string variable that's over here. We created a string object that's over here. The string object is first a copy of what's in salutation, but then you do this on the copy. Excuse me. So now notice that the copy that we made here got thrown away because we didn't save it with a variable. We didn't point a variable at it. So after we made it, it got thrown away. This copy, we edit it, but then we create an arrow to it. And Java Visualizer will do that for us. See? There, see, there's Java Visualizer's version of create the variable S2, make a copy of this guy, then edit the copy, then point the variable at the copy. Okay. Now, line 8 is going to do something very similar. Line 8, I'll just over here, I'll do it over here first. Line 8 is going to create the variable S3. There's an S3 variable. Now it's going to go to S2. Now, it's real important here that we go to S2. We follow S2 and we make a copy of S2. Okay, so I will make a copy of S2. So that's another string object. So there's my string object. I'm putting in it a copy of S2, which is greet. But then I'm making it lower. I make the copy lowercase. Okay, so I get that. Now I make S3 point at that new string. Okay, now it's real important that I used S2 to do that. So I followed S2 to this guy, and then I made this guy a copy of it and made it lowercase. And see, there's that step. And last step, real quick, would be make a well, what it's really going to do is it's going to make one string that's a combination of this one and this one. Okay, so now it'll create another string variable. There's going to be a last string variable, S4. There's going to be a last string object. I'll put it over here. It can be a last string object. A string object. And what's in it is whatever's in S2 combined with whatever's in S3. So what the data in here would be what's in S2 combined with what's in S3. Okay, Greek, with the first G capitalized and no space between them. Whatever's in S2 combined with whatever's in S3. And see, and there's Java Visualizer's version of it. Okay, so over here I did it myself, and over here I did it using the Java Visualizer. Okay, so that's the picture. I mean, if you did it with the Java Visualizer, you can take a screenshot of that. Okay, and over here you can I didn't finish it. There's one last step. I have to make the S4 point at that object there. Okay, right. Okay, so if you can do the picture in the Java Visualizer, some of the problems where the Java Visualizer, but you have to remember if you do it the wrong way, that's not the right answer. So be careful if you use the Java Visualizer. Make sure that you make it do the right thing. Taking a screenshot of that will not get you very many points because that's not the right answer. Because the Java Visualizer, it just got a weird feature that they thought this made things easier, but they set up the visualizer to draw these simplified pictures, but they're not what we want. We don't want these simplified pictures. We're going to always use the correct picture like that. Okay. All right. But see, for example, I could ask you what happened to line 6. And if I asked you to explain what happened to line 6, this picture isn't going to help you because line 6 didn't seem to do anything in this picture. And over here, you would explain that it created an object, but then the object was deleted because there was no arrow pointing at it. So if I asked you to explain this, you'd have to say, well, it created an object holding those letters in lowercase, but then since the object didn't get an arrow pointing at it, the object was then deleted. Okay, so the visualizer won't explain that. So I may ask you even a problem like this to explain something like that. Okay, so we ran out of time. Okay, so any last question? Any last question before we quit? If you're on Brightspace, the exam actually ought to be there. Anybody look? Did it show up? Does anybody got Brightspace in front of them? Did the exam show up?
I'll check right now.
Yeah, it should show up now. You should be able to download it.
Yeah, it's there.
Yeah, I will. I have classes this afternoon, so I'm going to be in and out of classes during the afternoon. But if you have questions, you can send me an email and ask a question. Especially the main thing is if you're not clear on what a problem is asking and you want a clarification of something. If you just say, "Is this the right answer?" I probably won't tell you whether that's the right answer or not. But if you're saying, "Am I on the right track?" or if you can say, am I misunderstanding anything? I'll tell you, or if you just want a clarification on things, if nothing else, ask first. And if you're asking a question I think is too specific, I'll just say that's I'll tell you what I think I should tell you. The thing is, you're supposed to solve the problem, so I'm not going to tell you what the answer is. But if you're unsure of something, please write an email and ask. Okay, and it's due at 11. As a PDF document of your answers are due at 11 by 11 this evening, and you can submit your answer anytime. So you don't have, oh, and if you submit your answer and you realize you did something wrong, you can resubmit it. Okay, you can resubmit up until the time it's due. So if you realize you did something wrong, go ahead and resubmit it. You can just upload another copy. Brightspace will let you upload more than one copy. I know which is the last one you uploaded. Brightspace is real good about, I know exactly which one. If you uploaded 3 times, I know exactly which one is the last one you uploaded. Okay. Any last questions? Okay, so we'll go ahead and quit here. And good luck. Now, send me emails if you have questions. And then we're on Monday we'll start the on Tuesday we'll start the next chapter. There's a reading assignment on the course website for reading starting the next chapter. So read that over the weekend. All right. Good luck.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.